Hi, welcome to the PoliticAL update with Alexandra Acker-Lyons. It is Friday, May 23rd, 2025. So this week I had kind of a weird experience. I went to the American Association of Political Consultants annual conference in Colorado Springs. I was just there for the day on Wednesday. I spoke on a panel, and then I was invited to the lunch to be the guest of the amazing Tina Stoll, who was being honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award. And after they started to give out some of the awards, I realized that we were sitting directly next to the Trump table with all of the Trumpers who helped elect this terrible man. And I decided, I'm not going to clap for them. I clapped for the other Republicans who won awards in races where a fascist didn't win. But I was really upset afterwards because they didn't say anything. And I was kind of 51%, 49, kept going back and forth. Should I say something? Should I not say something? I was there as a guest. It was about Tina. It wasn't about me. And so came home and talked to my family about it and really wished that I had said something in that moment, just to make them a little uncomfortable, make them think not everyone in that room was there to support them. And so I'm still pretty divided over whether or not that was the right thing to do. And I think we're all wrestling in this moment with right and wrong and where our own lines for what we should be doing fall. So just something I wanted to mention. I like to think that if I, see someone on an airplane, I would say something. See someone in a restaurant, I wouldn't like interrupt the dinner, but if they're leaving or coming in, and I'm not exactly sure what to do in some of these moments. So I hope that we all think about that and think about nonviolent, maybe even polite ways to show how we feel. Okay, switching gears. Shout out to the team at Catalyst, who put out their What Happened 2024 report. It takes a tremendous amount of time and staff time and resources to put out this comprehensive report, which they do every election cycle. You can go read it at catalyst.us/what happened 2024. There's been some media coverage of it, and I hope that we'll get an even deeper dive into kind of differences with what happened down ballot versus top of the ticket. But certainly some important takeaways. It was a tale of two electorates. Turnout was largely the same in the battleground states, but dropped pretty dramatically in some deep blue and some deep red states. We've seen that women have been pretty consistent for Democrats since 2012. The drops and gains for Democrats have largely been among men. This cycle saw a 13-point gender gap, the largest in recent elections, and a huge 17-point gender gap among young people. White college men had the largest support drops. White college and non-college women were both either 0 or +1 for Democrats. We have been losing Black men, Latinos, and AAPI votes since 2012, since Barack Obama's reelection. And we lost ground with both what they call rotating voters, new and drop-off voters fall into that category, and what they call repeat voters, people who vote pretty consistently. So basically, these trends aren't that new. They were just kind of exacerbated this election cycle. Men continue to be the persuasion problem. Black women continue to be the heart and soul of the Democratic Party. Thank you. And we have a lot of work to do. But I am heartened that in places where we tried, we did better. And that says to me that we should keep funding organizing, fund it year round, do actual organizing, not kind of fly in for the last couple of months. And we clearly need to solve how we're reaching and communicating with these voters. Much bigger conversation. Okay, in news of the week, Lauren Underwood has said she is not running for the U.S. Senate in Illinois. Um, those of you who tuned in a few weeks ago heard my rant against J.B. Pritzker for basically boxing her out of this primary. So still mad at him. Happy that Lauren will continue to be an amazing leader in the House of Representatives, and looking forward to supporting Juliana Stratton. Jared Golden in Maine also announced that he is not running for the U.S. Senate. Not really a shock there. He's going to run for re-election instead. I have mixed feelings about Jared's voting record, but back in 2001, when I started at the DCCC, I learned that the most important vote you take is the vote you take for Speaker. And he is all in for Hakeem Jeffries, and in fact has said he's running for re-election in part because he's very worried that we would lose that seat if he didn't run. And in fact, former Governor Paul LePage, who is batshit crazy, kind of Trump before Trump, has announced he's going to run in this +4 district. So Jared Golden will once again have a really tough election on his hand. Alexander Vindman is considering a Senate bid in Florida. You may remember him from the Trump impeachment, very bravely coming forward as a whistleblower on the Ukraine, I need you to do something for me favor. He is a wonderful guy, 2 great books out, and his twin brother Eugene currently serves in the U.S. House from Virginia. Florida is still really hard, but Alex has a really great profile and has lived in Florida for a number of years, so I hope he does consider that. In governor news, Keisha Lance Bottoms announced for governor in Georgia. She's the former mayor of Atlanta. There are several other Democrats already in that race or looking at that race. Angus King III, the son of the independent lean left senator from Maine, has announced for governor there. Also a couple of other Democrats in that race. It's really important that we have strong gubernatorial nominees in these 2 states where we have really important Senate races. So we need to have good Democratic governors so that we can help reelect John Ossoff in Georgia and hopefully unseat Susan Collins in Maine. Other big news this week was the middle of the night passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill. I think they call it the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which doesn't make any sense, which they passed by 1 vote in the middle of the night. It defunds Planned Parenthood and Title X. It gives a tax cut to the top 1%, people making over $4 million at the expense of 14 million people's health care. We obviously, this bill will go on to the Senate. We don't know what the Senate will do. But in order to come back and pass in the House, I don't think they can change it all that dramatically. So call your senators. If you live in a blue state, Lord knows we need to give our Democratic senators some courage. If you live in a red or purple state, they really need to hear from you. Talk about what matters to you most. And if you have a red state senator, this is going to add $3 trillion to the deficit. The last credit agency to downgrade our credit rating, Moody's, did so this week on the news of this bill. So there are things to dislike if you're a fiscal hawk. There are things to dislike if you care about people's health care. So please call your senators, make those calls. They really do matter. Okay, we're in the countdown to the Virginia and New Jersey primaries. New Jersey is June 10th. Virginia is June 17th. You can still give to some of the key races, especially to some key women who are running. I'm going to put some links up in the notes for some slates from Women Count and electing women to support Virginia state ledge candidates and to support Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger ahead of those primaries. And keep in mind, you're not only giving to support them in the primary, Abigail doesn't have a primary, but helping them to build the war chest that they're going to need for the general election, both of which will be really competitive. And I'll have some more giving recommendations in the coming weeks. So until then, enjoy Memorial Day weekend. Thank you to everyone who has sacrificed for our country. We all need to sacrifice in different ways now. And hope you take some time to have some fun over the weekend too. Thanks.